Right, today I'm going to make a video on based on my CNC again. So last time I made this in my test when I just quickly showed how the CNC works. And there's some things I wasn't totally happy with the specific design. I had to make some smaller changes, so I'm going to do a complete step through from compiling the program on my computer, running it through the CNC and everything, so you can see everything how it's done. The only thing I'm not going to do is actually design the part, because there's plenty of videos on YouTube on how to design parts on Freecad. So first of all, the things that I'm not too happy with this was just a test model, so a couple of things I'm going to do differently. Last time first of all, when I cut this out, I used a piece of oversized stock, so in other words it was actually bigger, and I used a CNC to mill it out completely all the way around, including milling the face off, which I'm not going to do this time. There's really no point in it. I've got the machinery, and you'll see in the little video that I'm making now as I cut it up and plane the piece of wood to the exact size that I need. There's no need to use the CNC to do that. It just takes a lot of time when I can do it far quicker on my machine. So the problem I've got with this specific design, it's very close to perfect, but the problem I've got is the holes. For one, they're actually too tight. I can press the button in there, but it's such a squeeze, and this wood's quite soft too, so it goes in there. So I had to make the holes a bit bigger, so that's not really a major thing. And then on the other side, if I press the screen out, this over here is a little bit too thick. So as you can see, the screen goes in there, but as you can see, it actually catches there, and I have to press it in there quite firmly. I don't really want to do this, so I've made this a little bit thinner, giving me a bit more free play on the top here, so the screen will actually clip into there a lot easier. Then the other change I made was the side walls over here on the two sides. This panel needs to be fixed onto its spot, and it will from the back get a screw through, probably 2 on each side, this side and 2 on this side, but at the moment that's too thin to hold the screw. It's just going to break off. And I've got the space here on the side, and this side's also got plenty of space, so I've made that slightly wider. So that's really the only changes. Like I said, not much. This video is more to just show how I go about actually taking the part now on Freecad, instructing the computer to do what it needs to do, compiling the program, and then feeding it into the CNC. So next step is, let me show you the bits I will be using in the CNC. I've got 3 router bits. This is just what I will call an end mill. It's a 9.5mm wide cutter. It's a proper wood router tip. And then I've got this one, which is actually not a wood one. This is a steel cutting, also end mill. It's 6 mils, this one. It works for wood, but it tends to get quite hot because the wood tends to clog up the actual flutes in here. As you can see, this one's only got 2 cutters on either side, so it throws the wood shaving straight out, and this one tends to clog up a bit, so I have to use a vacuum to cut the stuff, to suck the sawdust out. And then the final one I use is I think they call it a bullnose or something. So it's actually only got one cutting surface on this side. That side doesn't cut. One cutting surface here, and it's round here. This is a 4.5mm bit. So 1 or 2 changes I made. If you can see over here, last time those circumferences are too big. That's because I used this one to router that out there. So this time I'm going to use this one. It's going to give me a slightly better cut over here. Obviously if I had even smaller bits, I could use an even smaller bit to give an even more sharp finish. If you look at the back here, this was mainly milled out with the 9.5mm one. As you can see, it's got much bigger cuts over here, but that's fine, it's the back, it doesn't matter. Then the second cut I did was with this one. This is fine too, it's the back, so it doesn't really matter that it's round and oversized there. So let's have a look at my computer and let me show you how I go about setting up the programming for this. Right, so I'm going to now on Freecad open my files and show you how I go about running the actual, making the actual program. So first of all, let's open that file. Here we go. So here we go, this is the actual display I've got. So yeah, in order to now, I'm not going to change anything in this under the actual design as it is here. This is how it's going to do. So as I'm pretty much just these two stages that I have to do to machining this. Stage 1 will be the drilling holes for there, and stage 2 or section 2 will be the actual LCD display section. Because I'm using different milling bit for each part, so I'm going to have to do it, compile two different programs, because my machine does not actually have a tool changer or anything, and I have to actually run the one program once it's done, change the tool bit, recalibrate the machine correctly, and then I can go into the second section. So first one I'm going to do is drill the holes. So first of all, I have to select path here, and then I'm going to open a create a job, as they call it. So we open that. There we go. So let's start off with general. Nothing changes the output. I have to change centroid to Gerbil. The setup here. This at the moment set up for a piece of stock that's actually bigger than what I need, which I'm not going to use. As I said, I'm going to actually cut it to the exact size. So I'm going to use existing solid size. Nothing else here changes. Tools. I'm going to have to add a tool, and the first tool I'm going to use will be a end mill, actually a 6mm end mill, but I've only got a 5-1 over here, so I'm going to use the 5-1. And yeah, okay, so select it. Now I go back to the tools over here in my menu. It's now over here, so I'm going to select the 5. First of all, I'm going to open the actual tool itself, so I can change the diameter here. It's 5 mils to 6 mil, so nothing else here changes. That's all the same. Let's just call it a 6mm end mill. Okay. Now the other thing I need to do to it is obviously your cutting speeds. So I'm going to set this at 10mm a second. That's for horizontal feeds, of course. Vertical feeds I like to do a little bit slower, so I'm going to set it at 2mm a second. Right. So now that I've completed that, I'm now going to select a program to actually drill the holes. Now I've got an option here for various things. You've got this option here, which is a pocket. You can use that. I have tried it. It works fine, but it's just very slow, because it will basically sink the drill mill bit in by whatever amount you set it. Let's call it 2mm, cut it out, sink it in another 2mm, cut it out. So it takes quite a while. Then this one would probably be the fastest. This basically just option here just basically drills a hole straight into it. So if I had a 12.5mm drill bit, I could use that and it would drill the hole immediately, one shot. But I do not have a 12mm drill bit, so I'm going to go with this one. This option allows it to actually spiral down in there as it goes along. So first we gotta actually select all the bits, and the nice thing about this option is it actually immediately recognizes the holes on its own. So yeah, so it's got all that. I'm not so sure why it's got in the weird order, but anyway, that's fine. Don't really worry me. Okay, now I have to start the depths. So I don't know why it's got these sizes. My start depth will be 30 millimeters. Okay, my final depth will be about 15, which is correct. And my step down I will set to 2 millimeters. There we go. Now have a look at the heights. Safe height, clearance height, that's fine, there's no problem there. The controller tool I'm going to use will be the end mill, as it's been selected here. Coolant I obviously don't have. It's going to be inside, not outside. So, and direction will be counterclockwise. It doesn't matter either. My CNC doesn't actually have control of the direction in which my spindle runs. So let's apply that. And okay. Now I can actually simulate this on the Freecad here to see how it would actually go about drilling these holes. So you just select that there. Now your little drill bit appears here, and as I push play, it's basically just going to quickly fast forward what actually happens. So, and that would be the end of it. So it's always nice to run the simulation. It gives you an idea of if everything's correct. Right, so now that I've finished this, I will save the job, and it will immediately compile the program that I need for the CNC. So I will save this. I will call it let's see, what shall we call it? Panel cut 1 buttons, which will be fun. And immediately there in Freecad now it pops up the code that will be used for the actual CNC. So if you actually look through it, you'll see there's various sections here. Like this specific section will be hole number 1, and hole number 2, hole number 3, 4, and 5. This is all in G code, by the way. You can tell obviously by all the code starts with G's and so on. So right, so that's all done. So the next section will be now I'm basically going to delete this job now, and then restart a complete new job for the LCD section. So I'll basically done in 2 sections. So let's once again open a task. There we go. Once again, it will be a solid. Output will be Gerbil. Tools, we'll add a tool. This time I'm going to use a bull nose. So I'm going to open that. And okay, right, let's find those tools. Okay, the bull nose in particular is this time it's a 4.5 millimeter bit. No, sorry. Okay, and let's just set up the speed. We'll set that at 10 once again, and 2 millimeters a second. Okay, so first of all I'm going to actually cut the actual hole. So if I zoom in from here to that point and to that point, so we're not doing the slanted edges, just the hole. So in order to do that, I'm going to select this. This creates a pocket form. Right, so I'm going to profile the edge there. My tool will obviously be the bullnose. Right, so base geometry, let's add all that in now. So first of all, we've got to actually select the edges, so we add that one in, add that edge in. Right, let's zoom out, let's swing it around, zoom in again, add that face in and this face in. Right, so we've got that. Our depth will be at 30, that is correct. Final depth, 25 would be correct, but I'm going to go a little bit more, so let's say 22. There we go. Step down will be, I'll select it at 2 millimeters. Right, safe heights are correct. Operation, bullnose, we'll be cutting on the inside, not the outside. Extra offset shouldn't be necessary. Right, so if I apply this, it will instantly get you'll see the new you'll see straight away, see the green lines there showing that the spiral is going to be. So if I actually go to playing the thing now, there we go, that's the cut, and that's what I want. I'm not interested in removing the material in the middle. That will just disappear on the end, at the end of it all anyway. So now I need to pocket it, so doing the edges here. So there's an option here called pocketing, so we select that. Once again, let's get base geometry. So I will select the right, all the correct edges. There we go, add them in. Those are your faces that will need to be pocketed. The depth will start at 30, final depth as it is. I'm going to have select the step down quite finely. Yeah, the finer I go, the neater the cut will be. So let's set it at 1 millimeter. That's all fine. Okay, let's see. Let's get the pattern in. What should we do? We shall spiral it. Step over. Let's see. And if I push apply, it'll immediately show the new cutting pattern that's going to be here. So, alright, let's see what's going to happen now. If I push play first, it's going to cut the actual first section again, and then it's going to straight away proceed with cutting the edges. There we go. So now we've actually got the edge here. Right, so I will save this now. And we'll call it LCD for that matter, LCD. And I will call it let's say 4.5, just so that I know what millimeter bit I will have on there. So once again, I've saved it. There we go, there's the sizes, all done. Right, now I'm finished with cutting the front section, everything I need to be done here. So I can get rid of this part here. So I'm not going to save anything, I've already got it saved. Now I need to open the next part, which will be the back section. So here we go. Actually, I'm going to open that one, right. So this is the back panel now. Let me just rotate it. There we go, you can now see what's happening here. So this one's just got two cuts, the first cut over there and the second cut over here. This is obviously now the back section, so the LCD will appear here, and once I machine it you'll actually see holes appear here because I drilled them from the front 15 millimeters deep, so they will appear there. Okay, so let's do this. We've already got path here. Right, so let's create a new job. Right, so first of all let's change that to global once again. Setup, we'll use the existing solid, no need for oversized things. So I'm going to have a new tool here. I'm now going to go back to the end mill. Okay. And let's see, the first cut I will be doing with quite a heavy bit that I've got. So let's change all that correctly. So it will be end mill, but it will be a 9.5 millimeter end mill. Right, so that's quite a large one. Once again we set up the speeds here. That will be 10. That will be 2. Right. Right, so now that I've selected all that, I have to now cut out the inside part here. Basically what's highlighted here now. So the easiest way to do this, I'm just going to select facing. I'm going to use a facing tool, end mill. Okay. Base geometry, I will be using the one as you see what's highlighted there now. So I'll add that in. I'll have to select depth. It starts at 30, which is correct. My final depth will be 15 mils. And once again, I'm only going to step down at 2 millimeters. So that's correct. Safe heights are all fine. Okay. Box bound. So that would be the correct one. We're going to go zigzag and offset, so that it basically zigzags up and down and then goes around the edge. I don't want it at 45 degrees, I will set it at 0. And if I apply this, you'll straight away see the pattern it's going to follow now. So I'm actually going to set the step over a bit more coarse. There's no need for such a fine setting, so I'm going to put this at 80. A step over is basically how far the bit cuts over itself when it comes through for the second path. So at 50 it would cut half its own thickness, width. At 80 I'm going to cut 80% its width. So obviously you can do it the other way, but it depends on how fine you actually want the finish to be. So let's just right, so that all looks good. So let's follow the path and see what it says. There we go, that's it. Right, so now that I'm happy with that, I can go ahead and create the second one inside here. So because I'm going to use a different mill bit for the inside here, I'm actually now going to save this whole setup here. Once again, let's see, under Freecad files, we will call this panel back 1. Let's call it back cut 1, and we'll call it 9.5. Right, so that's done, saved. Is the G code all done? So that's all done now. So now I'm going to just go ahead and basically let's delete the entire job. Right, so now we start from scratch all over again. Right, so I will obviously select a whole new job. So usual process, same story. Tools, add. This time it will be a, take a 5mm end mill again. Okay, let's set the tool up the way I need it to be set up. This time it will actually be a 6mm end mill. Okay, and the speed I'm going to be doing is 10 once again. Delete, there we go. The speed I always just set as standard. I can actually set the speed up on the actual CNC when I'm operating, and I can actually speed it up and slow it down while I'm busy with it. So right, I'm going to once again be using the facing option. That's going to be my surface I'm going to cut this time, so it's straightforward. My starting depth will not be 30mm this time. My starting depth will be 15. As you remember, the last cut ended off on 15. My final depth, it reckons 3mm. I do not think that is correct. I think my final one should be 5mm. Yes. And we'll set this once again 2mm. Why is it not going? There we go. It's box bound once again. I'll zigzag offset. That will once again be zeroed. The angle, step over once again, it's not needed for that amount. It's the back end, and apply. Right. Firstly zero that again and set that for 80. There we go. Well, that's all done. Now if I use the tool here, you will see straight away that that's how it's going to cut it out. So I can save this now. Okay, we call it back cut 2, and we'll just call it 6mm. Right, there's my G code. That's all done now. So yeah, now I'm done here now, so I can basically just cancel this program. I'm done with Freecad now. Right, I'm at my workshop now, and we're going to machine this. So this is the piece of wood I'm going to use, a solid block of oak. I've got 2 here, and that's obviously the display we're going to get from the CNC. So first of all, I'm going to machine this block of oak to the exact size of the actual what I need. Like I said, I didn't want to use the CNC to actually cut it out, so the fact that it's got little holes in there doesn't matter. This will just become the back end of the block, and it will just get machined away. So first of all, I'm going to put it through my thicknesser, and as you can see, it's a little bit wider than that one, so I'm going to machine it down to the correct thickness. After that, I'll put it on my table saw. I'll cut it off to the right amounts. So yes, let's do this. My dust extractor. used for sucking up sawdust. Right, I'm now going to use my sanding belt sander. I'm just going to quickly just give the edges a bit of a nicer finish. Right, time to set up the CNC. So, first of all, there's my piece that I'm going to be working on. I have to first of all give it a center. This is for setting up the CNC. So, there we go. There's my center point now. So, yes, I need that. As I mentioned before, these are the 3 bits I will be using, but I'll be starting off with this one as we're going to drill the holes first. Right, now we will attach the piece in its place. I need to put some spacer blocks in there. Alright. Now that piece is properly in place there. Right, I'm now going to connect my computer to the CNC. Like I said, it works via Wi-Fi. And there we go. This is the actual CNC program that I've got here now. So basically now I have to calibrate it. So by pushing X, I can move it with the one way in the X plane. This will move it to X plane. The other way, Y plus moves it left and right. And then of course Z will lift it and so forth. I can also select over here, this says 20 millimeters, so at the moment it's moving it in 20 millimeter stages. So I can also, for instance, just say let's move it 5 millimeters, and then it will only move 5 millimeters. So first of all I need to calibrate it. So first of all we're going to calibrate the X and the Y axis. So I'm going to move it forward and I'm going to place the bit on top of the X. Right, and now let's move it down. It might be a little bit much. Right, now that we have to come to more fine settings, I'm going to change it to 1 millimeter. Okay, I still have to go back. And I have to go across. That's right. Now that I have actually, I must still go one more click back. Right, now that I've got it properly centered on there, I can just basically zero it over here. So that will zero that setting now. That will zero that setting. So now that I've got the X and Y zeroed, I now need to set the height of the actual thing, of the CNC. So let's move it down to 30. And now I'm going to drop it. I need to get it all the way down to the bottom. Almost there. Let's set it down to 1 millimeter. So what I like to do is to make sure that it's actually zoned in. Put a piece of paper underneath it. And I go down one step at a time. Now the paper is actually quite firm there. Can I pull it out? I'm going to go up by 0.5 millimeter. Now it's actually looser under there, so let's go down again. There we go. So that's now zeroed on the lowest level, so let's zero that. So now that I've got all my planes zeroed, I will now go, let's select this up again, take it up to 30 millimeters. And another 10. And let's turn it back to starting position. Right, now I've got it in starting position and I'm pretty much ready to start my job. Right, now we're ready to run the CNC. So first of all we're going to upload the G code I want. Panel button cut 1. Open. So you can already see it, and you're actually going to see it moving along this pattern as it goes. I did speak yesterday or last time we spoke about setting the speed up. Over here I've set it at 70%. To run at 70% of the speed I set the bits to go at. I can actually 100% will be the same speed as what I set it up on the actual CAD program. I can actually increase that to 200%, so basically double the speed. but because this is the first time I'm actually cutting oak, which is quite hard, and I've got no idea how the CNC is going to handle it, so let's see. That's the first program complete. Now the interesting thing to see will be to see how well does my button fit in this time. Last time, as I mentioned, it went tightly. Perfect. Last time it was, I made it 0.5 millimeter bigger. Last time it pressed in too tightly, so this time it's perfect. I'm pleased with that. Right, now I need to change my bit to the next bit, so I will be moving the CNC once again. The second bit I will be using is the bullnose. Right, and once again I have to zero it correctly. Fortunately, I don't have to set the once again, I will use my little piece of, it's a bit too tight in there, I will go up by 0.5 millimeter. I will zero it, and now I will lift it back up. Now when I zero the CNC, it's going to find itself straight back to the X because I have not changed anything there. That is spot on. I will lower it and you will see it's spot on. Right, so now we're ready for the next cut. We have to upload the new G code. The first one was buttons, the second one is the LCD. So we open it. Now this one's going to cut in two sections. It's first going to cut the slot for where the LCD sits in, and then it's going to do the bevel edges. So let's go. and do this. I will increase this thing's speed slightly. I want a little bit of a neater cut this time. So that's the end of that program. Right, now I have to do the reverse side. So first of all, let's get the spindle out the way. Right, there we go, it's moved out the way. Release the workpiece. Okay, so now obviously, as you can see, that's how it's come out. I'll need to do a little bit of sanding there, but otherwise it looks quite nice, I think. Now I have to be careful about reversing this so that the cutout in the back is correct. So you have to remember how you actually compile the program on the actual on Freecad. So in my case, I flipped the part that way. If I flip the part this way now, I'm going to get the LCD cut out here, and it's not going to correspond with that side. So I have to flip it the correct way. But before I do that, I'm going to quickly just put this on my sanding wheel and just take off this so that this can sit flush down properly. Right, quick sanding, it's flush now. So now I'm going to put it on upside down the way I need it. Right, now I will move my spindle once again. I need to put the new part on it. Remember, once again, the X and Y axis will not need to be changed. The center remains the center. The center is determined by the way you actually design the component from the word go on your Freecad. So when I designed this control panel, the center on Freecad was in the center there. Of course, I can move it to different areas and so on, so that's simple enough. Okay, so now I'm going to use the big cutter. Right, time to set the CNC to the correct height once again. I need my piece of paper for that. It's a little bit too tight, so I will lift it up. Still a bit tight. There we go. Just wonder. Right. And once again I zero it in. And let's set it back to its starting point. You see it's found the original starting point once again too. Right, let's upload the next G file, G code. This will be the next cut we do now. So we open that one and it will cut out our next section that we need. So let's start it. Right, that completes that section. Right, as you see, I've changed the tip again now to a different tip. This will be for my final cut. I didn't record how I changed the tip, as you've all seen how I go about it. So let's load up the G file program. This will be panel back cut 6mm. There we go. Let's open it. This should be quite a straightforward cut. Set my speed down to 70% for a starting. In fact, I'm going to go 60%, as the specific bit doesn't like to be run too quickly. Okay, Right, so that completes that program completely now. So this is how it's come out now. Just light sanding, that's all I did nothing else. I'm actually very impressed with how it cut. Like I said, this is the first time I actually used quite a hard wood for cutting. And I can't see any signs of it having missed a step anywhere or anything. So we already tried to put the buttons in there and we saw that they fitted nicely. Let's see how the screen fits. Right, so here's the screen. Moment of truth. Much better. So all I did was just chisel a little bit over there. I'm happy. I think that was a success.